Oh, hello. Welcome to the studio. Miles here with the band EMEFE. Glad you're joining us today. Come on in, won't you? Today, we have an episode of EMEFE.ptx, a video podcast series where we open up our Pro Tools sessions and talk about our process. This episode is about our song Turns. We hope you enjoy.
Welcome, everybody.
Turns.
Which direction?
Which direction? And it's turn signal, you know? Got the voice memo.
Mm-hmm.
Classic in the car driving. You probably do this too. The turn signal's on. It's just a metronome. It's right there. It's waiting to be played with. And one of my favorite things to do with the turn signal is it's going like this, and then you create the boom, 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 boom.
Yeah. I wonder how many people, if you're out there, let us know, because it feels like something that only you do, but I feel like that must be a very common thing.
Yeah, I mean, there's the classic, drummers. Their windshield is like dented from playing drums on the windshield. I'm in a long lineage of drummers driving, and
right. But there's something universal about a turn signal, and there's like I remember there's like a famous quote of Akira Kurosawa, who's a filmmaker, and he always put like really heavy rain scenes in like all of his movies, and his idea was that everyone has a relationship with rain, and it brings you back into this like nostalgic feeling. And I feel like turn signal sound is similar, where like everyone's been in a car, everyone has that kind of like ASMR-y feeling of like being in a car. It's very quiet, and then you make a turn, and that signal is like, it just always brings me, it like accesses some like farther point in my brain,
Well, on one of our last episodes in M&D, we talked about rain, because there's rain in that song, and that song comes right after this song, so it kind of fits that you made that connection, because in this song there's it feels like the second half of the album, for whatever reason, it just came to be that like there's some real world noise. There's sort of a grounding in maybe it's the nostalgia. It's like nostalgia is a part of EMEFE, and as we've talked about before, but like nostalgia for just even a memory is in the music.
Yeah, it's a feeling. It's like it's like it puts the listener in a place. Otherwise, with a lot of songs, like they're just like, I could be anywhere,
And speaking of putting a listener in a place, I went back because I knew that this song actually started with a text message from me to you. Do you remember that?
I don't know. No.
I was hoping you didn't, because it's more satisfying this way.
Great.
I remembered texting you, asking you for a chord progression. Now, I went back to try to figure out when I first worked on this song, and the first bounce of this song that I created was November 2nd, 2020. The eve of, I think it was the eve of the election, which is weird. But so COVID, election, I'm here in the studio, and I created the basis of this song in that sort of that was the world, and I was alone in the studio a lot that year, and I texted you, and I went back all the way back in my texts. It took me about 10 minutes to rifle through just to see. I wonder if that text is just still in there. And lo and behold, I got it. So this was October 30th at 5
Wow.
p.m. I asked you for some ideas for chords that could be played with these four bass notes. Here's the bass notes. And I said, I'm thinking of
Yeah.
Erica's Fall in Love and how the chords melt into each other and is a good balance of harmonically evocative and intriguing versus satisfying and resolute, which is
Yeah. A
quite
lot
a
of words.
text.
Yeah.
And you were just like, and then sent a thing. No questions.
I wonder what the yeah. I
And
mean, I'm remembering this now too, and I definitely feel like remembering feeling like I was alone, um, but being like, okay, you know,
yeah,
it's like yes and
yeah. And the thing I sent you was this. This was a voice memo at the time. And then I also followed up with this.
yeah. I remember that dominant chord at the end is
It's a
a real move.
flavor.
It's a flavor.
Um, so thank that's obviously I
Uh,
had the presence of mind to know like there's something here, but this is definitely not it. And this sort of tonality, it will always make me think of you, and I really can't channel it on my own because it's just like it's outside of my brain. But for you, it
hmm.
like is it feels like it is your brain. So I asked you, and you sent back this, which is really nice.
Yeah, I mean, that's the I used to only I used to only do like when I would open a Logic session, I would set my Logic to the automatic MIDI sound that would come up is this gentle sine bells patch,
Hmm.
and it's really good for chords because it's like such a pure bell sound, so you can really hear like each voice. But I'm pretty sure those are just like the chords from uh, Fall in Love. Like basically, very kind of broad
Yeah.
strokes.
Well, I can
Um,
tell you the chords spelled bottom to top
hmm.
because you told me at the time.
Right.
And you were very nice
Yeah,
to
right.
tell me what the actual spellings of the chords of the notes were
Right.
because that helped me a lot. And from there, I took those note spellings, chord spellings, and
Mhm.
it kind of worked perfectly with my usual process of recording pads on a monophonic synthesizer.
Mm.
So I went straight
Oh, right.
over to my MS-20 and recorded this. And as you can see, I did each note one at a time in stereo. So that's me with my hand going.
So are you adjusting like the cutoff, and that's what's giving it the kind of the articulation?
Yes. So I have one hand on the note, the other hand on the cutoff knob.
It's interesting. I've never heard each voice individually like that, and I feel like that top E, it sounds like the pitch is actually going down.
Oh yeah.
But is that just like a? Is
No,
that just
you're
like
right.
a?
You're totally right. It's me. It's the cutoff knob. I'm looking because the synth is right there.
Right.
The it's the cutoff knob. It's maybe a little of the pitch knob. There's something else. There's also the frequency modulation, which is making the I don't know.
Ah, right, right.
Yeah.
It's super cool. It's like it's not like a scoop. Dun, dun. Like it's not like a yeah. So it's almost like an optical illusion or an auditory illusion.
Yeah.
It's cool.
And so with that, going back to that original voice memo in the car, from the voice memo, I made a new track called Stickies, which basically is just mimicking the click of the car turn signal.
Yeah.
And basically just put like 4 on the floor, kick drum, and I don't even know if the 4 on the floor kick drum is probably gone because it didn't make it. But we got the stickies and the pads, the Korg pads, and synth bass. I added some piano with, so I'm going to play this again. I added some piano recorded with my iPhone.
Sick.
Put some drums on there.
Was this all? This was all fall of 2020.
That was all that night, yeah.
Wow.
Or that week. And pretty much that was like, I set that whole thing up. It was originally just to even play more of what it sounded like in that first iteration. So then there was also this other section. And so as you can hear, there's like the framework is there, but it's more of like a, I had it at the time. I thought I'm going to write vocals to this, and it was just more of a basis for a song with vocals. And so the rhythm was a lot more just 4 on the floor oriented, and it also already had like this outro thing. So that was it. And then basically the thing just sat on the shelf for 2 years. I would, as I do with a lot of stuff, I put it in a playlist and then it becomes the
Yeah.
music I listen to. I love just like
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
listening to my own shit. So like
for sure.
I I for a while had different ideas but never really went for it. And then um, eventually it made it to the process where we started thinking of this album, and
Hmm.
there were a couple, like I could really think of two big breakthroughs that made this an MFA song. The first of which was when you came in, you recreated all of those synths on the
Right.
saxophone, and that was huge. So that sounded like
Okay. Yeah, 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 yeah. Right. So I remember this moment, and it's like usually for those of you playing along, there's this chromatic motion in the voice leading. Dee da do do do. It's A, G sharp, G natural, F sharp, and it kind of that's the thing that makes these chords work, and it's the thing that's super satisfying, and it's kind of it's the sauce. But we made a decision to keep that G and not go down to the F sharp. So instead of
oh,
dee da do do do, it's dee da 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 da, and it creates this kind of like suspended like tension. And we were like, that's what we want because the F sharp was too satisfying. It was like too saccharine and like sweet, and you want to keep a little bit of that kind of like mystery and that tension.
right.
Otherwise, it's like, yeah,
But then it's reveal. I think we chose to save it for when the
right.
when like the next section happens, because in this
Yeah,
whole
I forget exactly when it happens. Yeah,
it's like this whole
is it
building
after the?
section. Yeah, it's we're not like revealing that yet. But
It's so like, yeah.
then once the next section hits, we get that satisfaction of this.
Right. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah.
Then we finally arrive at the chord.
That's really interesting. I didn't put that together until just now that it's like dun, 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 F sharp. You know, it's like very like here it is.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And even in the guitars, I followed that, I think, I hope, uh, where I like you delay that gratification in the intro. Oh, maybe I
Yeah,
don't.
it's not there.
Oh, it's not there. I don't know.
I mean, I don't hear it in like a big way. But the other
Not in a
thing
big
is
way.
like, yeah, I think a lot of those like dominant seven chords, like for the music theory people, like that last chord, it's like an F, it's an F sharp half diminished chord, boom, 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 but with a D in the bass, boom. So it's like a D7 with a nine, and it's like a really
Hmm.
satisfying, especially in the key of C. It's like the two dominant chord for all like the two sevens out there. Like shout out to the fans because it's a very popular chord, and it's a very satisfying shape and a very stable shape. But when you throw a fourth in there,
Hmm.
da da da, and have them happening at the same time, that's like a really strong and like flavorful sound. So I think that this beginning section, I don't know, I think it's a really thick soup, you know?
Yeah. After you put the saxes in there, then we like brought the other horns in, and they did.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. We're both like, yeah.
Well,
And
I'm
then
remembering all these other things about how we recorded that, like how all those like dun, 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 like we just did one take
yes.
of just me doing like one note and just kind of like making decisions along the way. And then the second take, like trying to match the volume and the articulation, and then just like did all four layers like that. So none of that
Yeah.
was like planned out. It wasn't like written. It was just kind of, there's so much dynamicism in the way that these parts are recorded that I think makes it exciting to listen to, because it's like we didn't know what we were doing until the very second it was happening. And then it
Mm.
was just a question of me and you kind of agreeing on like, is that cool? I don't know. Yeah, cool. All right, do it again. Like it's a very kind of like there's no plan. Like that's the
Um,
plan is no plan.
the plan is
Sorry.
no plan. And similarly, like then the next, I said there was two big things. The other thing that really hooked the song up and made it be like, oh, this is an EMEFE song, like, was Hav and Doug came over and we had what felt like a party, but it was just us. And um, we tracked, because as I played before, like the feel was very like kind of four on the floory, and
Hmm.
then they came in and we just tracked these percussion tracks where like I jumped on the drums, I retracked drums, and they played djembe and conga, and then we overdubbed another percussion track, and it became this. Which it like it was one of those things where before we did it, I wasn't sure. As you can, we just saw, like the song was already there, and so we're tracking to something, and to when you do that, it's like this will either feel good or bad, like because you're
Hmm.
kind of like
Hmm.
jumping in the current that's already there. You're jumping on the train,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
that was just such a success of like Hav doing this kind of track, and
Yeah.
I had a box of nuts, and I was doing that with or something like that. It was
Box
very
of
random.
nuts.
Um,
It's
and
good.
those two days where you came in and sort of reimagined the chords, and the chords are still in there, but it's just now it's like it has that mixture feeling, and then when they came in and we kind of took the rhythm, we gave the rhythm like a new flavor and a new character. Those two
Hmm.
simple days were like, it took this song from being a demo that I made on like pre-election night in like the thick of COVID alone, to
Yeah.
then this is a song that I'm making with my friends, and we're all like taking
Yeah.
taking it together. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and I think it
Yeah.
just
That's
speaks to like this
cool.
album in general actually did come out of 2020. Like there is a lot of uh,
Hmm.
like going from being alone, thinking of music, to then playing it with your friends and friends that you haven't played music with in a while because we weren't an active band really
Hmm.
then.
Hmm.
That that's like a part of this album that I've sort of forgotten,
Yeah.
or I keep remembering as we go. So yeah, another part of this song was like this ending section and what to do with it. And as you could see, the drums actually I kept from my original demo, which had been muted up until this part. And I was like, I think we got to keep my original drum take. But what do
Hmm.
we? How did we take it to the next level? Well, we put jazz in front of the in front of his saxophone. I meant your mic. I meant the microphone,
We
but
just keep the saxophone out and we just
yeah.
set up. Yeah.
And notice how that was all one take, except for this right here where I took
Yeah, I remember
from
that.
the other
Yeah.
take.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a solo.
So there, let me say a couple things. So in music, for all you out there that play music and that improvise specifically, uh, the highest order of improvising, it's kind of agreed on by many people, is like melodies. Like, how do you find a melody that works in the context that you're playing in? How do you improvise a melody, and how do you kind of choose whether to and how to develop that melody? And that's kind of like a pretty universally agreed upon judge of like musicianship and like, I don't know, like jazz stuff. Like that's kind of the standard. But there's also like another school which is just like just just make some fucking sounds and do those sounds sound good, and do they move people? And so um, I I think it'd be kind of a fun challenge for students or people interested in music to take the chord progression of that last section and try to play a melody over it, because it is a confounding chord progression. It doesn't make
Hmm.
sense. It's a very kind of like, it doesn't really go anywhere. It resolves. It doesn't resolve like
Hey,
it's like it's a cubist chord progression.
hey, that's my
It's like a
chord progression you talk
Picasso.
about.
Well, it is a very mild chord progression, and I really like it.
Yeah.
Like it's really nice, and it does kind of resolve in its own way.
No,
But I
I'm just
think
kidding.
that
Yeah.
the first time I heard it, I was like, "What is happening?" And I needed to find a way, like chord tones, finding a note that like works versus doesn't work. And what I really like about this solo, and I'm happy that we kept like the whole take of it, is that like most of it doesn't like work. It's not conventionally attractive when it comes like in terms of note choices. But if like I think it works because like a lot of those melodies are very honest and they're played like from the gut. There's a lot of like, bleh, you know. Um, it's like it's unvarnished, and there's also just like a, yeah, like there's no there's no like there is no discernible melody until they kind of like pop out and you're like, oh wow, like that actually is a nice
Yeah.
melody. So in terms of like the music of this solo, like I feel like it's a very it's a very simple solo in that there are a few melodies that kind of soar out, and a lot of it is just kind of like a kind of schizophrenic conversation with yourself, um,
Yeah.
which is
Turns.
really that's turns, you know.
This one part here, I remember in mixing, specifically making sure that it peaks out from everything right at that moment.
Yeah,
That was a moment we like looked at in mixing.
yeah,
Like,
yeah. It's
okay,
such
all
like
that other,
a
there's so much going on that but that you kind of regroup in this space and then just like
yeah,
wail right there. And yeah,
yeah.
lot of great
I also
moments.
think when you're listening to it, it sounds like, as a finished product, it kind of sounds like you were playing the insane drum stuff that you're playing, and I was playing at the same time, and we're kind of
Mm.
almost like fighting for space. Like the snare drum in this ending song it's section. It's like it sounds like a fucking apocalypse. Like
Yeah.
there's no space left for anything, and it sounds like the saxophone and the snare drum really are just like jostling for room.
It's
Um,
true. Yeah.
but that's really just
What were you gonna say?
I just made me think of this Dave Pietro, who you and I studied with at NYU.
Hmm.
Whenever he talked about free jazz, he talked about it somewhat disparagingly, and he was like, "There's really only two kinds of free jazz. There's scratch and sniff, and there's Pet Shop on Fire, and this is very like Pet Shop on Fire, you know?
Yeah, yeah. That describes this snare fill pretty well.
Like, are you
Look
using
at
more
the
than one drumstick? No, I'm sorry, more than two
no,
drumsticks?
yeah, that's just one drumstick, man.
Yeah, like that metal thing.
Um, this the look at the look at on the drum track the meter the note the like volume meter in this part. Do you see that on the
Just,
left?
yeah, just all of
Yeah,
it.
just brick. It's a testament to
That's good.
Sam Shifty who mixed this is that he didn't he left it, he let it squash. He didn't
Yeah,
try to rein
totally.
it in. He was like he understood the assignment here.
And it's not unpleasant. Like it's the texture of it is not abrasive. It's just kind of like, oh, like that's all the space there is in my brain at that point, like
Yeah.
in terms of like the sonic stage.
Well, Jazz, speaking of not abrasive, it's now time to talk about this incredible trombone dual solo that happened, but we're going to
Beautiful.
bring in the person who played it, Ani. Come on in here.
Cool. Hey, Miles, what's up?
Hey, bud. We just chatted about how my first session with this song was on, I think, election eve, the night before the election,
Oh,
2020.
interesting. Whoa, okay.
Yeah, and you and I met in 2020.
That's true. We did. We met at the Stonewall protests that were taking place every Thursday. Um, that would begin outside the Stonewall Inn and then march to different places, and were led by Black Trans Liberation.
And at the time, EMEFE was not playing, and even when in the beginning of lockdown was when I really started coming up with demos that I was like, I think this could be an EMEFE song actually,
Mm,
even though it was like it had been years since we had played, or yeah, MFA was not a thing. You and I were playing together
right,
like every week and sometimes more, in this protest context, but we had never
right.
played in any other context. And then fast forward a few years, and this song finally ended up on the pile of songs to open up for the MFA album. And you you were kind of like the to say icing on the cake is like wildly, it's like that you were so much what you did on this song is so much more than icing. However, icing is often like the best, in my opinion, the
Oh,
best part of the
yeah,
cake.
yeah, yeah.
um,
Right. It's
but
not the cherry on top.
no.
It's different.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah.
So yeah, you started playing with us in like 2022 or so, and then this song, when it came to it originally, I was thinking of putting vocals on it, and then it was like, because the basis was there, but it was like, what is sort of the anchor of this song, or like the big event happening in this song, if there is one. And I really don't know how it ended up being a trombone solo, but like it just made sense. And then somehow the idea of it being a dueling trombone solo also
Right.
came up. Did I
Right.
just tell you that at the time? Was I just like, could you do a dueling trombone
No,
solo?
the way that it came up was I was gonna have another solo on this record. I think it was gonna be on Be
Oh.
Nice, maybe, or something.
Oh, it was going
Could
to
be
be on
wrong.
Leftover.
On Leftover.
Yeah.
And then I was like sick or something, couldn't make that session, and it ended up being a different solo. And then you were like, okay, but I have this idea. I was like, cool, whatever. I'm happy to just contribute whatever is right. Um, and then you were like, I have this idea about you um, trading with another trombonist. How would you feel about that?
Oh.
And I was like, well, I love that. That's one of my favorite things in the physical realm and not in the digital realm. I mean, it's cool digital to do some, or like recording wise to do trading too, but it was like uh, I had this idea where I was like, well, what if we try it where it's just me, but we try to, I think we kind of together came to the conclusion of like, but we try to channel the intention of trading with two musicians. And so
Mm.
it was a really fun challenge. It was something that I've never tried before, where it was like I felt like I was embodying two different characters. And so um, I would play, what was it, 4 bars, and then I'd be like, okay, stop. And then I'd be like, all right, roll, and I'll play a response line to that, and then stop. And so that's how we did it piece by piece like that. But I was really trying to think of myself as like two different individuals having a conversation together.
Yeah, and I remember I feel like we only had like an hour or something. Like it was very fast, both like it needed to be, where like we weren't laboring over each thing,
Right.
and yet it was also like we literally like had 15 minutes to finish
Yeah.
this or something. And
Yeah,
I
I don't
feel
remember.
like
Yeah.
and so like that it was very inspiring because it was like there was a degree of like perfectionism and like whatever that uh, our relationships with
Right.
that as far as how it relates to a solo on an album, and it's like so much different than a live solo where it
Totally.
just comes and goes and then it never happens again, whereas on an album it's like you're going to hear this solo forever.
Yep. It's
So
immortalized.
yeah. But at the same time, you want to hear the sound of someone coming up with something and like speaking freely
Right.
without thinking. So it was quite a challenge. Like on paper, it's quite a challenge, but in execution, it was pretty just
Yeah,
just
it was
like
actually shockingly, we just got into an immediate flow where it was like we actually, I think we just did like a take and then would stop and do another take. Like we didn't have to
yeah,
overdub a whole bunch of shit, which is, I'm a big fan of overdubbing. As you saw, like I like to get into the nitty gritty.
yeah.
Um, but it's like, yeah, it was, I think we just kind of hit some flow with this, which was cool.
Yeah, so you can see in the session here, like you did this phrase, and then you
Right.
did this phrase, and then this, and then boff back and forth. I think I'm just gonna play it
Play it.
just so we can listen to it soloed.
Totally. It's crazy. So it's really ridiculous. I feel like you really leaned in but in processing the voices differently, you really leaned into the two different character thing, and then they kind of like meet in the middle. And I really liked that when I first heard the first like kind of like rough mix of it. I was like, okay, we channeled that.
Yeah, as you can see, they're like panned a little bit, like left and right, not
Hmm.
fully, but like kind of. When panning, I do like to imagine just like people in a room and that try to set it up that way, like you're looking at people. So
Yeah.
like, yeah, one's over here, and then just the one on the left I have just for all the plug-in heads out
Oh,
there.
secret
Got the
sauce.
got this guy going. I got this guy going, little reverb. Um, and it's EQ'd a little differently. And then
Interesting.
on the right side, the EQ is, oh, look how different that is. It's that versus that.
I mean,
The right side has the Echo Boy. It has like chorus on it. That's right.
Right.
And some delay.
yeah.
It's not like crazy, because it's also I don't want to go too heavy-handed with the like this one is this one, and this one's this one. It's like just slightly different. But there is, it feels like a little bit of a playing difference that you were, and there's like an escalation happening between the two of them.
Absolutely.
Which again, it's just you talking to yourself. So it
Which I do all the time. So it's nice to have other people want to listen to it.
God, and I just gotta like really highlight this phrase. Oh no, sorry, not that one. I mean, that one's great. No offense, but the one on the right, in my opinion, wins with this phrase.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I feel like we could have gone deeper in imagining who the characters were, honestly, in the same way that each song had its own weird little guy on this record. Maybe we could have gone deeper into it, but that is a moment of kind of like the right pan trombone being like, nah, you know what I mean? Like it was like a little bit of like, and then I don't know, kind of coming for each other. It's like a game of tag.
Yeah, and I also feel like from this phrase, that one, to this one, the first character, the left trombone, like kind of like steps it up a little bit, where like you come in and you're not like blaring, but then so like you're kind of, I keep saying you, but they're both you. But anyway.
But actually, I think what's worth noting is that the one thing that I knew I wanted to do with this whole solo was the first note. I knew I wanted to come in on that fourth, because it just filled out, like it created a tension in the chord that I was like, this is going to send me where I want to go. And you can't even really hear it. Like, it's not noticeable when everything else is mixed in, you know what I mean? Like when it's unsoloed. But then it just, it comes out of that chord into what I wanted to play. That was the one thing I knew I wanted to do going into it.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, because I love that choice. I'll play the horn section and then you entering. Yeah.
I knew it would just like open it up. It would like open up the can of worms.
Yes. And so then, yeah, the first trombone it comes in with that, but then the second trombone kind of is like, hey, I'm here too. And like right on the entrance, it's already like a little bit louder than the first trombone, and then the first trombone comes back in,
But okay,
and then it's
pause for a sec.
Okay.
I think it's worth explaining that this is something that I would have done if I was training with another human being live. Starting the next phrase with the last thing that they had just played. So whether it's the same note or the same like rhythmic phrase, that's what I did for each of these. Like it's that I didn't sing it well, but that's like how each phrase begins, is mirroring the one that I just did before.
I see.
See what I'm trying to say?
So like.
So I took that pattern.
You took the triplet.
Yeah.
I see. And then the next one.
And then that one's the exception, because I think we got to this idea about like, okay, let's do this crazy rhythmic high thing together. Um,
And then you're really like kind of trying to one up each other.
exactly. And then that high A, what we overdubbed. Like I was like,
yeah.
Miles, you brought me in for something else, and I was like, Miles, it's been eating away at me. There's something missing from this, and it's just that one squeal of a double A. And so, yeah. Which it's, maybe gratuitous or whatever, but it felt like it was like, okay, ba bee bo bow wah, like it just needed to build to that,
Yeah.
That's the cherry on top.
That's the cherry on top. Yeah. And I feel like you really like there's the spirit of, we talked earlier about like what brought this song into being an EMEFE song as opposed to being for anything else, and like specifically coming in and being like, we need to add that note there is like really jumping in with the spirit of EMEFE, and I appreciate that about what you did here, because like there a lot of the music of the band, but also this album is about like celebrating just like your instrument, like and it's an instrumental band for the most part, and like just really like indulging in our like instruments,
Totally. Which,
so
I think this was the last thing I recorded with my old trombone, which is a student horn, before I finally got myself like this actual good trombone that I have. And so it's kind of cool now that it's in that spirit of like, it's kind of like, all right, I was trying to see how far I could push this thing, and I did, and now I got this other, like the next step up, and it's like, okay, now it's got to keep pushing me even farther,
It's beautiful.
Thanks. Also, I do think there's something to like we were talking about meeting in a protest setting, where, to clarify, like you were playing bass drum and I was playing either percussion or trombone to accompany chanting and crowd, like the crowd moving together. I do think that there's something that really translates to how you and I seem to think about music as like a collective thing, and a collective voice. Like I feel part of what I really love about playing this music is it's often kind of indistinguishable which voice is which. It becomes like a collective organism. Even with myself here, like it's kind of like at the end you're like, okay, there's like, it's all just becoming the same thing. So that's something I really enjoy about how we make music together. There are two other things, I think.
Yes.
Well, there's the opening melody. Maybe you talked about this already with jazz.
No, I didn't.
And how hard it was for me to restrain as much as you wanted me to here, about like letting it be like a slow burn build, starting slow, or like starting down the octave. But you also kind of wanted me to play it. If I remember correctly, the words were a little bit underwater. I might be wrong about that. It's kind of like mwap, 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 mwap.
Yeah. Yes, and to give you context on this melody, this was a melody that I had like thought of as a vocal melody for this song. That I was sitting with it for like a year, and I had some lyrics, but the lyrics were really what was tripping me up. And then when it came time to, like, when we decided, okay, this is going to be a trombone thing, I imagined that this was like a theme that would happen in the beginning and then recurs at towards the end after your solo. And I really imagined it, again, thinking about like being in peak COVID times and like being alone a lot, and then thinking about playing a song for just playing a show, period,
Right.
for an audience, I thought of like it'd be great to have a melody that people could like latch onto and sing with us. And we have actually at the time of this recording, I've never played this live, so I'm really excited to try it someday.
Yeah,
But
me too.
yeah, just like the idea that there's this melody that then hands off to the
Mm-hmm.
and it's kind of that was the genesis of this idea. And it's the climax of your solo kind of where finally jumping back here, like after the dueling solo, or I don't want to say they're dueling, they're like playing together.
Yeah.
The two trombones like link up on this melody.
True. Had to throw a little one in. And you were like,
Yeah.
play that as fucking brash as possible. You were like,
Yes.
don't hold back. And I was like, but I want to play it nice. And you were like, no. Like, go in. Go as hard as you can on that.
I think I might have described to you that, like, imagine, which I have something I've seen you do before, that you're on stage and your one foot is on your monitor and you're holding your trombone out in only the way a trombone player can, and just going like, you know,
Yep.
like that was very
That's
much
the
the assignment
energy.
at this point. But in the beginning of the song, it's completely different. And you're playing together. Yeah.
I'm so curious what the words you were writing for this song were, but I don't know if you want to share.
No, it was truly, it was like counting. It was literally just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Ah.
9, 10. I was trying to figure out, there was some, it was very much like a word game thing that had to do with counting.
You know, it feels like
yeah.
that. It feels like patty cake or something. Like the game of tag thing keeps coming up. Like it feels like there's something up like playground game like about this song.
Yeah. I feel like it's something also about the way that the song is counted, where it's in 6, but it's in 4, and then and every 6 bars it like resets. I can't. I couldn't be bothered even on a video podcast to try to break that down.
Yeah.
But it kind of the counting of it not being in classic 4/4 and the chord progression, something about it just like it's like a passing back and forth.
Right.
I'm so happy that this worked out and that this is on this record, and that you like left your extremely unique footprint on this album and this song.
Thanks. It's an honor to be a part of it, to contribute to it. And I love it. When I play the song, people are just like, it's crazy. And I'm like, yeah, it's crazy. Where were you driving when you sampled the beginning turn signal?
I really wish I could remember.
Yeah.
Probably, I mean, best guess is like to the studio. I mean, like, yeah, it had to have been.
Surprised you could get that much audio of the turn signal without like other Manhattan like cars honking, you know.
True.
Yeah. But that's what it is, right? It's a turn signal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Just iPhone, you know.
Ever
iPhone
heard
style.
of it? iPhone style.
Yeah.
Oh, the only other thing I remember you really liking when I did it was I did like a little
Oh,
after
yeah.
the like final. Yeah.
The adlibs at the end.
Yes.
Yes. Wait, let me find that. Oh God. Let's see. Oh yeah, right. Because the horns come back in,
Right.
and we're like cruising again. And you did a thing that I always love to do if I'm tracking in this sort of situation where we're like creating a band song, but one piece at a time.
Mm-hmm.
Like always track some pre-roll and some post-roll, just because those little nuggets have a way of like recreating what might happen if someone like didn't realize we were recording and kind of like did a little diddle. And so like those are always to me the elements that like bring a level of organicity.
Organicosity. Yeah.
To a modern recording. Anyway,
Totally.
So here's this.
And then, you know, Jazz does his thing.
Of course, the dueling trombone solo was not enough.
It wasn't enough
for this song.
We had to go full blown. No, it's pretty sick though. It's pretty sick.
No, so we were just talking about that solo before, and like it's just funny that all of this that we've been talking about has been in the same song because there's a lot of worlds, there's a lot of turns.
Yeah. You said the name of the movie in the movie. Look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. No, this song is like 4 really great songs.
Yeah. Before we go, I do have to just shout out there's some amazing vocalists that like gave like the energy that they added to these moments. Domenica Fossati, old friend of the band, added some of these. Actually, I'm gonna add some of these. That's what I meant. And also Javier's sister Cha added the same thing as well.
Mm-hmm.
And also shout out Lizzie Lieberson in the intro. Has the chill vocals. In the context.
Wow, I never noticed that in there. It adds so much though.
So very proud of this song. Lot going on, but
yeah.
And I also have to just say that I had one of the most fun times on this record was recording these guitar parts, and I just love recording guitars alone. I never got to do it. I mean, EMEFE has had a lot of great guitar players in our career as a band. This album, it was just me, and I'm no great guitar player, but I know how to have fun.
Wait, on the whole record, you were the only guitarist?
Yeah.
Oh, sick.
Well, our friend Mike Harlan played one of the guitars on Mars Cadet, but otherwise,
Wow.
I was like, I'm doing it.
So sick.
Give me the guitar.
Yeah.
That's all just the undercurrent underneath your solo. So there's a lot to listen to, guys. You gotta, maybe on the 10th listen you can finally hear, oh, there's a guitar playing.
And then on the 40th you'll realize there's another guitar playing.
Yeah.
Wow, yum yum yum. Yum 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 yum. I love hearing all the little things inside. I'm so glad you're doing this.
Yeah. All right. Well,
this has been a pleasure.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you for hopping on.
Totally.
And thank you to everyone who has watched any of this, even if it was 10 seconds or even all 3.5 hours of this episode. Goodbye, world.
What a terrible sign-off. Goodbye, world. Oh, God, it's so ominous.
No, goodbye, world.